Hi, it's Jim Gordon back with another Small Cap Interview. You can find all our interviews at smallcapinterviews.com. Well, our next guest is a former portfolio advisor and a 20-year veteran of the resource market with special expertise in precious metals, mining, and energy stock. He is also the editor of 2 newsletters to help investors profit from metal market opportunities. That would be Silver Stock Investor and The Great Silver Bull. We should also say, I'd like to say this, that when he writes about what he is buying and selling, he takes no pay from companies for coverage. It is a great pleasure to welcome back Peter Krauth. Peter, welcome.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Good to see you again, sir. And hey, I got to start out with, when you were here last year, you had a book out that had been out for a couple months.
Right.
Called The Great Silver Bull. We should announce, you just told us, that it is now going to be published in Germany.
It actually was released in German last June or so. So yes, the book's available. Thank you so much.
We were talking before we came on camera about the medical aspects of silver, which I always find fascinating. Can you tell our viewers a bit about that? Sure.
So silver's been known for a long time to be a biocide, so that means that it kills bacteria. And unlike antibiotics, the bacteria do not grow accustomed to and don't adjust to silver. So silver, if it's active or if it kills a bacteria, it's always good at killing that same bacteria. So you find it used in things like cornea replacements, in water filters. I was told even by a fund manager that we're talking about silver. She runs a silver fund, and she told me that she grew up with them using silver coins, putting them in barrels of wine to keep the wine fresh. So it's got a long history as a biocide.
You're the expert. What would you give us some points on what you would advise a first-time investor in the world of silver?
So if you're brand new to silver, I would say just go out and buy some silver coins. If you're Canadian, buy some Canadian maple leafs, 1 ounce maple leafs. Right now, they're probably around the $35 to $40 range or so. Premiums tend to be high on silver coins because relative to gold, for example, it's a lower value of metal for the same size, but it's the same amount of work to produce the coin. So the premiums are higher. But that aside, go ahead, buy a few coins. It's a little magical almost if you've never held a silver coin in your hand. Really, there's a really nice weight to it. You can see how much effort goes into producing these coins, the design of the coins, the milled edges, all of that. It's really quite nice. So own a little bit of physical silver, and then from there, slowly get comfortable with the sector, the industry, do some research. And the nice thing about silver is that really you can play silver in many ways. You don't have to take a lot of risk. You can own a bit of physical metals. There are ways to own physical silver through ETFs even. And from there there are ETFs of silver mining companies. You have ETFs of junior silver companies. And then you can own those companies individually as well. So everything from large royalty companies all the way down to small producers, developers, and even junior explorers.
Just going back to forecasting, you were mentioning to me about it being supported by 2 trends, and you were talking to a colleague. Give us that story.
Yeah, so there's a guy by the name Eric Strand out of Sweden who runs a few gold and critical minerals funds, and he has one of the few silver-only investment funds available, focusing exclusively on silver. And so he basically, it's something that I know, but I've never sort of put it into the same words. And he says that silver is supported by 2 megatrends, and he's absolutely right. So silver's forever been known as money, and it eventually also developed and is increasingly developing industrial uses. So it's supported by these 2 megatrends. The first being currency debasement or money printing, and the second one being the green transition, because silver is absolutely crucial to the green transition in multiple ways, and we can talk about that a little bit more.
Let's talk about consumption and supply.
So silver is about a 1 billion ounce market per year. Roughly 80 to 85% of that comes from mine supply, and the other 15 to 20% comes from recycling, and that tends to vary year in, year out. Demand is in both industrial and investment. Demand has been growing on the industrial side. A few years back, it was about 50%. We're already at about 60% currently. And The rest of it is investment. So investment in things like physical silver, jewelry, silverware, that kind of thing. And so what's interesting about industrial demand is not only the growth of demand for silver, but in which subcategories. So industrially, silver is used in energy, things like solar panels. Mm-hmm. That's a very big one. Then you have things like electronics and electrical applications. You have things like EVs and EV chargers. You have silver in those things. And I like to say silver is always never more than about a meter away from you because it's in your phone, it's in your tablet, it's in your television, it's in your camera. I mean, it really is all over the place, and it has multiple medical applications on the industrial side. So we talked about it being a biocide. It's in cornea replacements. Yeah. So that's just amazing how it's really a high-tech metal in many ways.
Let's talk a bit about what you'd like to do. I mentioned off the top with your newsletters, Silver Stock Investor and the Great Silver Bull. What do your followers look for from you in both those newsletters? So
really what I try to do is educate, and the book, The Great Silver Bull, was mostly for that. I really want people to see the opportunity in silver, and so the book has really 5 parts. The first part is the history of silver, how long it's been used. We're talking about 5,000 years that we've known and used silver in multiple ways. Then I talk about sort of the macroeconomics, and I go back a few centuries and explain the use of silver in that time, again, mostly as money, however, backing money. And then I talk about the supply and demand dynamics. And then I talk about how to invest in silver, how to build a portfolio, and then ultimately how and when to sell your silver, because we're entering, I believe, a multi-year commodities bull market. Mm-hmm. And silver absolutely will participate in that. Ultimately, it will run up dramatically. The best analog we have is the 1970s, and silver did extremely well. It was up, I think it was something like 3,400%, 34 times, from 71, $1.35 to ultimately $49, $50 in 1980. So, of course, the silver stocks participate in that and provide a multiple of returns over the silver price. So when we ultimately peak in what I think is going to be a multi-year cycle, you'll want to know how and when to sell, and that's what I cover in the book. And in the newsletter, it is more of a real-time approach to investing in the silver market. So what I do is ongoing research into silver companies and opportunities. I look at everything from larger cap producers and all the way down. I move down the spectrum through smaller producers that are also exploring to expand. Mm-hmm. Developing companies have a project that they want to move into production, and then the exploration side. So really, that's the small cap. That's the higher risk, higher potential return part of the spectrum, but that's where you have the excitement. We've seen it, in fact, last year. There was a company that I wrote up at 18 cents called Hercules Silver. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the sector knows about them because they had a big discovery back in October. They went ultimately to about $1.50, and so that was about an 800% return that year, and it has pulled back. But some interesting things about that. So this is in Idaho. They had a big discovery. Within a matter of weeks, Barrick invested in them, which is unheard of for a major to come in such a short time, and gave them $23 million, which has really been a great injection of capital. And so they're continuing to drill out their project and prove up more resources. The sector has been challenged for the last couple of years, especially the last year or so, but it's nice to see that the markets still work. Discoveries are rewarded.
Talking with Peter Krauth, always great to chat with you, Peter. silverstockinvestor.com.
That is right.
Great to see you, sir. It's another Small Cap interview. I'm Jim Gordon. Thank you very much for joining us. All our interviews at smallcapinterviews.com.